in this moment, in all of time, what can I do to empower my gut? Because your instinct is like any other muscle, right? Just like push-ups or pull-ups or sit-ups, your instinct is like any other muscle. So it's subject to progressive adaptation. So when you mortal up, you use your mind as opposed to your mind using you. Think about that, right? Fight or flight, all these chemicals pile in. Well, you have to decide in that moment, in all of time, do you want those chemicals using you? Or are you going to use those chemicals to your advantage?
Brian Brawdy is the founder at Mortal Up Consulting. Brian believes that you come pre-assembled with the tools that you need to win at the game of life. His team is dedicated to cutting through the fog and amnesia that is trapping you so that you can rekindle the authentic spark that sits in the marrow of your mind. Let me tell you guys, we've got quite the conversation here for you today with Brian. He is going to be more different in a great way than anyone you've ever heard talk to you in this realm of personal development, self-help, whatever you want to call it. And today, this conversation will be centered around the real cause of your stress and how you can win at this game that we call life. So without further ado, Brian, it's great to have you on the show, my friend.
Let me just say that whenever you get into these things and you have to hear some of the opening music, like the elevator music, you go, oh, that song was great. I was snapping around and carrying on. Episode 244. I'm thrilled. This is great. Be better, right? From your lips to God's ears. Let's hope we all are, right? So I am ready to go, brother. Thank you so much for having me. And if you don't mind, can I drop another name? Only
Please.
Because Robert Party. Party introduced us, so I should say a quick shout out to Robert, just for making the introduction all those weeks ago. So thank you, Robert.
Robert's a great man, and we had him on the show, and he talked all about his story and what he's up to now. And he's like, Brandon, there's someone that you've got to meet and have on the show. And I was like, who is it? And he's like, his name's Brian. All right, and he's like, and you're gonna love Brian because I see that Brian's energy really matches your energy, and it was an understatement because listen, my friend. I know a bit about your story, much more than those listening, or much more than many of those who are listening. And your story, it's one hell of a story, brother. So
thank you, brother.
I just want to commend you first on number one, your determination, your persistence through the events in your life, and your energy, which it's something that's built. It's very clear to see that this energy that you have, it's been strengthened over the years. So I just commend you for those things, brother.
Thank you, brother. And you said in the intro, oh, he's different. And after 5 brain surgeries, I have a host of neurosurgeons that will tell you, oh, yeah, you can't spell Brian without the I in idiot. So he's different, all right.
So when you went through those brain surgeries, you mentioned to me that the doctor said to your family, Brian's going to be different after this, right? Like when you heard that news, because I'm assuming your family told you, were you different afterwards, or talk to me about that? What did that look like?
Well, when I first heard it, I wanted to go after the doctor, but they had strapped me down and put a catheter in my thigh, right? So I couldn't go after him as one would. But I'll be honest with you, brother. I think immediately following, everyone was like, he's going to be a house husband. He'll never recover. The doctor said to Ashley, my wife, you should say goodbye to the pre-tumor, Brian, because he's not coming back. The post-tumor Brian is going to be different. And I know it sounds arrogant, and I know it sounds like I'm full of myself, brother. But now that the doctors do the test, they go, yeah, we were kind of right. He is different. But good golly, we never expected. So is it possible when you have a golf ball size hole in the back of your brain that it has done something to him in terms of the neuroplasticity? I mean, the compliments are all very nice, right? From you do all the tests, the Clifton strength test, the Briggs-Meyer test, the this and that and everything else. And I think it's just because they've never tested someone with a huge chunk of their brain gone, right? I think I'm a savant, to be honest with you. And people go, oh, you're not a savant. I go, well, ask Ashley. When I go to the grocery store trying to pick out what she wants, well, I'm pretty much a savant. So that's, I think I am back. I think I am different. And, and I don't want to sidetrack our time together today, but I am right now, believe it or not, the same age as my father was when he committed suicide. Wow. Shouldn't say it like that. When he committed suicide, like I'm going to go commit suicide, so the show's over. That's not what I meant to say it. But I'm the same age that he was. So when I left law enforcement all those years ago and studied the concepts that would eventually become Mortal Up, I left the only job I ever really loved. I was a detective. I loved going after bad guys. And I should say bad girls, right? We don't want to be sexist. Bad people, going after bad people, right? So I love the hunt. I love the stalk. I love the slapping fingerprint powder around and figuring out. A really great detective sergeant of mine, my boss, said to me, when a bad person, bad guy, bad girl, leaves a crime scene, they take something, but they also leave something behind. And you just have to pride yourself, Brian, on being smart enough to uncover what it is that they left behind. Yeah. And that, in a nutshell, that's why I got everything I did in military and civilian law enforcement. And to date, when I study the way I do about the human mind, the human brain, neuroplasticity, fate, chance, all of that, I go at it like a criminal detective. Yeah. Does that make sense? It's the only thing I've ever known, brother. I never went to school, right? Other than the military and civilian police academies. So that's my fallback, constantly trying to crack the code.
Yeah. What this code that you were looking to crack, when your father did commit suicide, you left the force and went on an investigation, not from the sense of what you did for a living, but from a sense of discovering why he made that decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. And remember, brother, by the time that it happened, by the time I sat in that patrol car and called off 10-7, which just means out of service, and I said 0103, 10-7 for good, I looked in the rearview mirror and go, what did you just do, Bri? You just quit the only gig, all the promotions, all the medals, all the accommodations, all of it. You just quit. And I quit because that still small voice says, what happens to a human mind? And by this point, my stunningly beautiful first cousin had hung herself. An equally handsome and talented best friend drove the car in, shut the garage door, but left his door open while it was running. So my father was the third suicide. When he jumped from that building, he was the third suicide. And even for me, right, how thick can you be when the universe is saying, hey, needle nets, right, 3 suicides. Yeah. Maybe this cop thing isn't cut out for you. You should investigate what happens to a human mind. And that's my life. All these years later, that's still my life, is trying to figure out why a human mind turns against itself.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. End of show. Let's get a wrap. I'll get back to the green room. Right?
Just that's the very beginning, because where did you start on this journey of, okay, now you've got this question that you just posed. Where do you begin on that journey to discover the answer to that question?
Well, I'd probably have to drop another name, of course, Joseph Campbell and the Hero with 1,000 Faces. And whenever I read a book, I read the book, and then I go to the bibliography, and I buy the top 10 books in that bibliography.
Wow. And
then I start reading them, and then I go to that bibliography, right? Because I'm always like, if I'm going in front of a grand jury, and I'm going to put forward a case, I need it to be airtight. I need it to be rock solid, right, brother? So I'm always studying, why did that train of thought come to be? And Joseph Campbell led me down. Good golly. Jung, Adler, all the poetry, all the quantum physics. Good golly. Joseph Campbell was the beginning of it all for me. And I don't know, 5,000, 6,000 books in my library later, 3 or 4 iPads full of books. I'm still on the hunt. I'm still trying to investigate, was that still small voice bullied in my father? Did it just tap out and go, I'm sick of all the other voices telling me to jump? Why? People go, oh, well, no, it's not, oh, well, I want to know specifically, where was that voice? Did it take another call? Was it tired of being beat up and bullied? And that led me to everything to do now with Mortal Up, because people say, oh, you're standing up against bullies.
Yeah.
Yes, but most times it's the bully you see in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, I got no problem going out on the street, somebody's picking on someone smaller, I got no problem mixing it up. It's the ex-cop in me, right?
Yeah.
But most times when I talk about the bullies, it's the one you find in the mirror. It's the one you find in the nooks and crannies of your mind, the backwaters of your brain, the one that says to you, yeah, I'm not all that special.
Wow.
I need more to-do lists. I need goals. I need hopes. I need dreams, right? I need all these things to pull me out of the moment.
Yes.
Always carrot at the end of the stick, not where you are right now in this moment, but, oh, well, one day if I only, right? If I only do this, then I'll be happy. Well, what would be wrong with being happy right now?
Yeah.
Having not achieved any of that. Think about it. If your great grandfather decided to play slap and tickle with your great grandmother, that's why you're here. If he had decided to play it with someone else, you wouldn't be here, brother.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the odds, right? Gary, it's popular to say, oh, there are trillions and trillions. But what about your life since the day you were born? Forget about lines of ancestry. Everything that you've survived just to get to episode 244.
Yeah.
Think about people, oh, there's more grains of sand on the beach than all the stars in the universe. Whatever. Think about the odds that you made it to episode 244. Astronomical.
So what does that, when you point this out, like, what does that mean? The odds that I made it here, like, what does that mean?
For me and me alone, I think you've already won the lottery. Right? You think about it, you've got a wife. Am I allowed to say what's coming in the future?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. You got a wife, you got a baby on the way, right? You got all that shit, right? Doing all these things. You got a studio, you're interviewing, not me, but other than me, every episode other than 244, 243 and 45 on, you're interviewing great minds, right? But just a caveat, right? But your life is a blessing. It's a blast. So magnify the moment. What can you do right now in this moment? And I know we'll get into the neuroscience of it because I'm finally, right, a little bit of Kevlar coming my way. People are going, well, it's not like that. Well, now all the doctors are saying that's how dopamine is secreted in this particular moment in all of time. So I'm kind of, what is it? I'm kind of, I don't even know what the word is. They're starting to say, Brian, there's something to this idea of it's all about the moment. Sandberg said, hope is an echo. It bids you yonder, yonder, yonder. We got a whole industry. I call them the motivation industrial complex, the higher consciousness cartel. Oh, the self-help syndicate, right? All these gurus that are telling you, you got to have goals. I'll get you. Oh, let me get you in on this goal seminar. If you get in before midnight tonight, I'll give you an extra 3 free master classes on how to set goals.
Yeah.
And you go, what? What? No, you want to put a goal? Your body's focused on what it takes to put one foot in front of the other. That's where the brain is working right now. How to take all this information coming in and process it in such a way that it's going to be effective for you. Goals, to-do lists. And how many times at the end of the day, and I'm sure Robert had an opinion on this, B, how many times you get to the end of the day and go, well, I've done 27 things on my to-do list, and you think, yeah, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
Merit,
Or
right?
you get it done and you do it, and then you realize, like, okay, I had a really full day, but is this what life is? Just having full days, staying busy, just continuing to do. So what you're saying is that it's not necessarily the non-accomplishment of a goal that causes us to feel bad or judge ourselves, or, like you mentioned, the bully. It is the thinking of the lack of a goal or time management or a to-do list that is truly causing those negative feelings inside of ourselves, because then in a way we're not fulfilling what we told ourselves that we would. We're not following through on our own promises in a sense. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Absolutely. That's such a great way of looking at it. How about the promise you made to yourself way back when as a little kid that said, I'm going to run the table. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. What about those promises? Right? What is it? W.H. Auden says, all that you are not looks back at what you are. The promises you made to yourself as a little kid are looking back going, come on. What are we waiting on? Undale, right? Sorry, I wasn't supposed to culturally appropriate. Arriva, right? Let's get on with this. And that's what happens. And then you go, oh, well, I didn't achieve that goal, so I guess I'm just a loser. Or no one wants to hang out with me, so I'm lonely. Yeah. Or I'm depressed. But we do it to ourselves. There isn't like if I send a package to you and there's a doorbell, you ring the doorbell and you sign the package and you open it up and go, oh man, can you believe that, Brian? He sent me a vial of depression. It doesn't work that way, right? Your brain has to craft it. So when you mortal up, you use your mind
as opposed to your mind using you. Think about that. Right? Fight or flight. All these chemicals pile in. Well, you have to decide in that moment, in all of time, do you want those chemicals using you? Or are you going to use those chemicals to your advantage? And that's what it comes down to when you study the neuroscience. Huberman Labs is a great thing to watch on, I don't know him, but I watch some of his stuff from time to time. And the advent of cutting edge, really tip of the spear neuroscience is now proving that ancient wisdom wasn't all that far off, brother. Right? When Jung talked of synchronicity or serendipity or impromptu, when he talked about these things, now they're saying, well, that's where the serotonin comes. When you're confronted in this moment in all of time, how you handle that dictates how your brain is going to secrete those chemicals. It's not me saying it, right? The scientists. So I'm just thrilled that it compels people to be thrilled with who they are. The odds that any one of them are here to listen to this, that should be enough to just thrill you, right?
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Because I'm curious based on this train of thought, because I'm sure other people have this same question too, or maybe I'm alone, but I assume that I'm not. I've got this show and I'm working in the sales world, the corporate world, and I've got this other opportunity that now I'm looking at that I'm like, wow, this seems really cool. This seems like a lot of fun. I feel that I'd really enjoy this, and I've already started down it, and I am enjoying it, and it feels good, right? So I have that feeling that this is something that I should be doing because it feels good when I do it. But then there's that conflict of I'm doing this one thing. Should I spend some of my focus and go to this other thing, or should I only stick to this one thing and stay laser focused so that I can reach this goal or accomplishment? So I guess like when you hear that, or when you have someone who's wondering, I don't know what direction to go in because there's many different directions, in the absence of goals, what is there?
Well, you got to listen to your gut. I call it the power of instinct, right? Everyone wants to be told what to do by all these motivational gurus and right? There's one guy out there running around using shoe polish for hair coloring. We all want to take advice from him, right? But so everyone, go on, go on, go on. Well, how about sit down and go, all right, what does my gut tell me? One of my favorite movies of all time, and you'll watch me forget the name, but not Tom Cruise. The guy that crashes on the island. He's the FedEx guy.
I'm not sure.
Oh, he talks to the volleyball.
Oh, yes.
Wilson. Tom somebody.
Wilson. I don't know the actor's name, but yes, Wilson.
Tom somebody. The greatest moment that I've ever experienced in movies, the very end of the movie, he comes to a crossroad. Go left, go right, go north, go south, and the camera fades. That's magnify the moment. They never show you what decision he made because it's your decision to make. So when you say there's a conflict, what is it? What sense of guilt or anxiety has your mind offered up going, well, Brendan, this guitar thing, right? Maybe you should, blah, 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 you got this and you got that, but go, whoa, what if I can handle both? Yeah. In this moment, in all of time, what can I do to empower my gut? Because your instinct is like any other muscle, right? Just like push-ups or pull-ups or sit-ups, your instinct is like any other muscle. Yeah. So it's subject to progressive adaptation, yes?
You're right.
So when you progressively use it, I call it the labyrinth of life, right? Ups, downs, left, rights, pivots, swerves, never a dead end, only a cul-de-sac. So when you throw yourself in and go, is that all you got? Let's go.
Yeah.
Right? Every morning I take a cold shower. I hop in the shower. I look up and people go, oh, what do you think? I just look at the spigot and go, that's as cold as you can make it? Are you kidding me? I got up for this. This is barely a chilled drink. And of course, it's cold.
This morning? Did you take the cold shower?
Well, here's the thing. I had to, right? Because I needed to get in and make sure, talk about be better. I needed to get in and make certain that my body was beaten back. Whatever my 3 little Petri dishes brought home from school. Good Lord.
So you're still native here, which I'm grateful for.
No, I wouldn't have missed this. It's episode 244. I don't know if I mentioned that. I wouldn't have missed this for all the money in the world.
I love that. Let me ask you this now. When you hear be better in a sense implies that there's something better that you're working towards. So when you see be better and full transparency, full honesty, right, do you believe in the premise of be better, or what does be better mean to you?
Yeah, be better is everything you've ever needed, you've always had. So if you want to be better, instead of looking outside, sit and meditate. Take in a deep breath, right? I use this thing called the BEST acronym, part of the meditation. You breathe in through your nose, you exhale your name, you scan your immediate surroundings, and then you take action. So be better for me is not to run all nilly-willy because fate has targeted me, right? A Billy Shakespeare slings and arrows, right? Fate has targeted me. Something like one of those guys in 300, you know what I mean? When his warlord says, well, we'll send millions of arrows. And Diogenes says, well, then I guess we're going to fight in the shade, right? Right? So for me, it's like, come on, bring it, more cold water, more crap. Let's scale this crap and figure out progressively adapt. So for me, be better is in this particular moment and all the time. Remember who you are because you're better already if you just stop talking yourself out of it, right? And your to-do list pull you out of it. Your dreams, your hopes, your plans, your goals, they pull you out of this particular moment. You look at Thich Nhat Hanh, or you look at Meister Eckhart, and or you look at Eckhart Tolle, and they're all saying, be in this moment, be in this moment, be in this moment. Well, there's some truth to that. Because your brain isn't sorting chemicals, isn't sorting incoming information from something 6 weeks down the road. Your brain's sorting what's coming in right now. So you want to be better at listening to your gut and go, like Tom did in that movie, left, right, north, south. But his gut, 30 seconds after that camera went black, his gut had to figure out where he was going to go. So to me, that's be better.
In that case then. And by the way, Wayne Noel wrote, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Wayne Noel wrote Tom Hanks is the
Tom Hanks. Thanks, Wayne. Yeah. Look, Wayne does all the technical. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. He's the behind the scenes guy at Mortal Up. So thank you, Wayne.
I'm sure everyone else was screaming at the screen too.
Probably so, right? I said, right? I led. You can't spell Brian without the I in imbecile.
Iconic
right?
movies of all time. So let me ask you this now, because now let's bring this philosophy into the real world. And when I say real world, that's difficult to say because is what we've created in terms of these social structures and corporations and hierarchies truly the real world, right? But the question is this: let's say we've got this executive or upper leadership or anyone in a corporate world where they're expected to perform at a specific level of performance. And they're expected to get these things done and complete these tasks at this specific time on this specific day or earlier. Now, how do these principles tie into that person who really needs that structure or list of things to do? Like, how does this then be used by people who are in a world where there are deadlines, there are things that need to be done by a specific date?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I'm sorry to always sound like I've thought like one step ahead, but I call them 20-minute victories, right? So here's the thing. There are 72 20-minute chunks in a 24-hour day. So all I'm suggesting is that if listening to the power of your instinct is progressive adaptation, take 1/72 of your day and try it out. Magnify the moment, stay in this particular moment and all the time. See what the universe, right? Whether we stumbled off the savannas of Africa or we were evicted from the Garden of Eden, we still walked, right? And all we had, hopefully, was the goal of not getting eaten by the end of the day, right? Till we could get to the fire. So for 20 minutes, put all the other stress, all the other business, and see if you meditate. If you say, whatever the universe is buying, I'm taking. I'm not worried. I don't have anxiety. I don't have depression. I'm taking, right? Just give me that cold shower. Then at the end of 20 minutes, I absolutely promise you that you're going to go, yeah, that Brian wasn't as nuts as he looked. There's something about, right? And then if you go, well, I like another chunk, another one of the 70-second chunk of the day, maybe put 2 20-minute victories together. So don't abandon it all until you're certain that the 20-minute victory, and maybe you and I will agree that it becomes like a special sauce. Do the things you got to do to pay the bills and get the Maserati and all these other things. But then every so often, take time just for you and that still small voice inside of you. And we go back to what happened to that still small voice in all these suicides, right? Yeah. What happened to that still small voice? Build a relationship with that still small voice progressively adapt it within that 20-minute victory, and then you decide, who am I? I don't know anything about your life.
So talk to me about the 20-minute victory. So let's say we've got a 20-minute slot of time now, right? How would you guide me through that 20 minutes? What would I be doing during that time?
I go out whenever I have a 20-minute victory, let's say, I'll go out the front door, and wherever my gut tells me to walk, that's where I go. I'll go into a bookstore. Wherever my gut tells me to go, that's where I go. But then what'll happen, because I pull a book off the shelf, and then isn't it wild that there's the exact quote that I wasn't articulate enough to figure out. There's the exact quote. Random. I remember one time last Christmas in front of a bookstore in Hudson, Ohio. I think something Owl is the name of it. Barnyard Owl, whatever. But there was a parking space open. There was no parking spaces everywhere. One little parking space was open. So you know me, that's chance, that's serendipity, that's synchronicity, that's impromptu. So I pulled right in, and that was the book that I found 20 minutes later that was absolutely instrumental in crafting Neural Savvy, and why we went to trademark, like Mortal Up, why we moved right away to trademark Neural Savvy. The impetus for that came because there was a parking space open when there shouldn't have been one. So for me, the 20-minute victory is just leave yourself open, right? Big bang or big breath, God or gravity, whatever, whether you believe in science or you believe in religion. It all means the ancient of the word religion is religiary in Latin. It means to bind together. So you could offer a case at the quantum level. Things are bound together, right? At the subatomic level, most certainly, they're bound together. So for me, religious tenet and science, for me, are kind of speaking the same thing in this particular moment and all the time. So you go out the door and go, I just heard a bird. I'll tell you one thing. Not too long ago, I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning. There were owls on our rooftop.
Wow.
So I went out to record the owls, which led to a 20-minute victory of a ruck at 2:30 in the morning, right? Police stopped me going, what are you doing out here running around at 2:30, boy? Right? So there's that. But that experience happens when you leave yourself open. If I had gone, yeah, great, owls, I got to get up, I got to commute, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got a cold shower, what a pain in the butt, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, oh, what are the, like a prairie dog, Brian's head's up. What was that? Owls? All right, now we're up. I'm like a lab going after something shiny. But that's what the Holy Spirit, that's what the quantum field, whatever you're comfortable with, that's what communicates to you and your brain, which shuts out all kinds of information. You can progressively adapt it to learn to go, what the hell did that just happen for? What am I supposed to learn from this moment and all the time? Now, if I sit back and go, well, here's my to-do list, and the universe is going, excuse me. You're looking for a sign. You're all the time praying for a sign. I just gave you a sign, and you're going back to your goal seminar that you got in and paid $1,000 before midnight tonight so you could get the special notes, right? So for me, be better is in this instant. What do you got to do to be the rock star you were born to be? What do you got to do in this instant in all of time to make certain that you keep your word to yourself, that you don't settle, that I guess it drives me crazy. Oh, wouldn't you like to be a superhuman? Look, you already are flow, a big thing. And I love Stephen, but the big thing now is flow. Well, you are flow, right? Throw yourself into it. Cannonball like Caddyshack when they let the caddies in for 15 minutes all summer. Cannonball into the flow, and it takes you exactly where you need to be. And if I'm wrong, you've invested 20 minutes. You've invested 1/72 of your day. But if I'm right, I'll trust you to go, hey, he's crazy. But there was something to that 20-minute victory. So tomorrow, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be narcissistic. I'm going to make sure that I only do what my instinct tells me. I call it an alter ego, right? Because when we're born, there's a rite of passage that most of us are supposed to have. Some of us have, some of us hadn't. But as humanity moved on, that rite of passage, your ego was supposed to take a backseat, and that part of you, your instinct, was supposed to take over after you reach maturity, right? This is what it means to move forward. Well, for a lot of us, we didn't get that rite of passage, right? We didn't have that dark night of the soul, if you want to go all Dante on them, right? We didn't have that dark night of the soul. So what happens is your alpha becomes an alter ego. And I love Kobe Bryant. When they interviewed Kobe Bryant, And they asked him, when you walked out onto the basketball floor, what would you do? And his exact words were, brother, he said, I have to distance myself. Well, wait a minute. Let's think about that for a minute. What do you mean when you distance yourself? He said, I come out as the black mamba. Now, everyone wants to talk about, black mamba because he's black. No, black mamba, when they open their mouth is black, right? So he wasn't even trying to be anything other than his alter ego. When he steps out on the court, all of his trouble, all of his worries. You ever notice some of the pictures of Michael Jordan sinking the game-winning shots and his tongue is out over the side? There's no stress in him. He's like a little kid. Could you pull your tongue back in? No, I'm good, thank you. So the Black Mamba for Kobe Bryant, he's distancing himself from his ego because his ego says, boy, you missed the shot and LA loses the game. You're a dead man walking,
True.
Right?
Yeah.
But he goes, I'm going to distance myself from that. If I don't perform at 100%, he goes, I'm the Black Mamba. I will outplay you. I will out-hustle you. I will do whatever I have to do to beat you. It was a brilliant interview. And I would say, in the moment, be better. Let that alpha out. And people all the time, you're talking about alpha. Is it just male? No, it's male or female, right? The alpha just means, as you know, in the ancient Hebrew and Greek, it just means the one, right? The thing you were born with, aleph and alpha. But
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you just let your alpha out, male or female, because that alpha is here to run the table. It's here to win the game.
I had this person message me recently, and it was a very deep question that I didn't really have the best answer for, I feel. And I'm curious to hear how you would apply these philosophies towards the question. This individual said to me, Brandon, I am currently homeless. And in order to have a roof over my head, I found myself living in a drug den surrounded by other people who are also addicted to drugs. And he said, I found myself also addicted to these drugs, but I know that there's a better life and I want a better life, but I don't know what I should be doing. What would you recommend? So
right.
What I hear you...
Right, brother? Tell him to be better. And that be better becomes when he says, I know there's a better life. How do you know? Well, I just know. Well, how do you know? I heard you just say, I just know. I couldn't care less. I want to know, how do you know? Well, and if you keep asking him, right, more question marks than exclamation points, he'll go, well, I just have a feel. Now you got him. That's your gut instinct. So what does your gut tell you? Right? We're getting ready to do this thing called Friday Night Firelight, where I will camp out. No tent, just me, a fire pit, and a blanket every Friday night for 2023. So there are ways where you can look to be homeless in a more profound way. But I would offer to you to answer that question. He says, I know there's a life better to me. I'd give that knowing, because that's his alter ego. That's his alpha. I'd give that alpha an open mic, and I'd ask him this question. You know that you deserve better. So what's your next step? If I give you 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day, what are you going to do right now for the next 20 minutes to guarantee that you dovetail with that knowing? You said knowing. I didn't say it. You said it. Yeah. I just know there's a better life. That's the alter ego, right? That's the Black Mamba from Kobe Bryant going, I know I'm going to crush this guy on the court. Yes?
Yeah.
That's what I would say to him. Be better in this particular moment in all of time. Dovetail with your instinct, and it's not going to let you down.
Not create this whole elaborate plan on what to do in the future, but what can you do right now in this moment in order to start and spark that chain of events? I
would say, look, brother, I went for a run. I don't know if you know the story, but I went for a run. Let's call it X number of years ago, 5 years ago now, I guess. I went for a run, and I had a personal record in the hills of a national park outside of Cleveland. And I came back, and I wanted to treat myself with a cannoli. Right? Not like a store-bought cannoli, a real one, where you go in and they roll them out and they bake them and make them, and there's everything, right? You can just taste it while you're sitting there watching them making it. And I went to bite into this cannoli, and I couldn't taste it. My tongue was numb. So I called my doctor, and I said, hey, I just bought this cannoli, and my tongue was numb. He goes, yeah, it wasn't store-bought cannoli, was it? I go, can you keep up, please? No, I had it made for me specific. You know me. Great, groovy. And he goes, you couldn't taste it? And I go, no. He goes, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You're made of marble, but would you mind just coming in? I go, it's a Friday. You know what traffic is like across town? I'm not coming. He goes, okay, Monday morning, will you come in? And I go, yeah, what do you got? We're going to do an MRI just to make sure that it's nothing bad. Great. Monday morning, I go for the MRI. And Brandon, I'm in there for like an hour and a half with dye, I guess, running through my arms. And as soon as it ends, the nurse walks up to me with a phone and she goes, is this for you? And I'm thinking to myself, brother, I can't get 90 minutes to myself. Somebody's calling me right now. I'm in a kilt. I'm in a cloth kilt. They just rolled me into this MRI. It was the doctor. And he said, Bri, you have a golf ball sized brain tumor. The staff is waiting at the hospital right now. You got to go right to surgery, right to the emergency room. So you know me, B, I'm Irish, right? So I went home, had a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, right? Got my family and everyone together, and the phone keeps ringing. Got to go. What are you waiting for? Got to go. Open the second one. Called the attorneys, made sure everyone was set, and then I went for the first surgery, which was 11 and a half hours. And then subsequently had those other surgeries, but I wasn't planning that, brother. If you'd have said to me when I couldn't taste the cannoli, I wasn't sitting there going, yeah, you know what? I bet you got a brain tumor. Oh, don't worry about it. Make a golf ball sized breast implant and stick it right in there, right? Just pack it full of dirt or gum or whatever and get me out of here. But it was a big deal. And I had to be able to start off what you said. I had to be able to go to the universe and say, is that all you got?
Yeah. Yeah. You have a way of talking about the idea of being in this present moment in a way that is not like hokey, in a way that's not like, just be peaceful in this present moment, be aware of it, notice it. And that's all very fair. Like Eckhart Tolle, like he's very ethereal in the way that he speaks about it, which is great for some people. But for other people who have been in this trance of goal setting and to-do lists and doing more, this is a way that speaks to them. And I know that because it speaks to me in a way that is very practical, in a way that is comforting, because I'm going to start that 20-minute segment that you keep talking about. I think that's very valuable, of following the gut and listening to it and just doing what feels right in that moment. Do you have a specific amount of these 20-minute segments that you do in a day?
Oh, wow. You know, like I don't lift unless there's a 20-minute countdown clock. When I do sit-ups, people go, how many crunches do you do? 1,000 or whatever. I set the clock at 20 minutes. I do sit-ups until that clock goes off. If I go out for a run, I better get 3 miles. I better get my 5K in as close as I can in 20 minutes because I'm gone. So for me, it's like, what am I going to do right now? How am I going to live? How am I going to enjoy it? And I would say to you, if you don't mind, one other thing, because you said about Eckhart, there is evil in the world. There just is. And I find some of the people in the higher consciousness cartel, right, the self-help syndicate, going, oh, let's just all get along. And there are some of us that are like, yeah, we're a greater percentage of kick-ass than kumbaya. We'll let you have your stuff, but don't square your shoulders with me and try to injure my family or people that can't defend themselves, because then you're going to learn what it's like to channel that alpha, and you're not going to be happy, brother. So I'm sorry to do this, but all I do apparently is old movies. That's what my brain is left with. But there was Burt Reynolds was a stunt guy 20 years ago, let's say. And he goes, Cooper, I think was his name, goes to get in a bar fight. And the teams are lining up and he goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then he looks back to his guys and he goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he goes, that's not very fair. 13 against 6. He looks right at the camera and goes, you guys better go home and get some more guys. So for me, brother, right, Brian, really? You're living your life based on a movie that Burt Reynolds did, and you couldn't pick something else, Smokey and the Bandit. You had to pick this because it's like, is that all you've brought? Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, right? Or if you want to go all Bhagavad Gita, do your duty. It's not up to you to decide. Do your duty. Let the arrows loose. You know, if you look at the Kabbalah, or you look at any of it, you're here to be a badass. And if you don't force me to defend people that can't defend themselves or my family, you know, and even with me, B, it's like, I'll have my friends go, really, did you let him just say that to you? And I go, I don't care what he says to me. I don't care, right? I couldn't care less about people's opinion, right? When you think, I care about the way people feel, I couldn't. I couldn't. I can't muster. Mariana's Trench deep. I couldn't. But don't mess with my family. Don't mess with people in front of me that can't defend themselves, and we'll get along groovy. So I think that's where Eckhart and I, where he would go, turn the other cheek. Yeah, no, I'm going to turn the other cheek, but I'm going to, we'll just let that go, right, brother? But you get the sense. You guys are going to have to go home. Hey, shower head, you need some more cold water. Is that all the universe is going to try to do? Give me a brain tumor. Is that all the universe is going to try to do to derail me? Now, because my father and my cousin and my best friend felt, well, I failed, I'm no good. And my cousin was a drop-dead, gorgeous head cheerleader. Went home one day after school, hung herself. So it's not the way you look, it's the dialogue, right? It's the inner orienteering that you go through in your mind that causes that voice to turn against you. And for me, and all the doctors are welcome to chime in, because again, if you go back to just a couple seconds, I couldn't care less what you think. All the shrinks are able to chime in, but the precursor to biological suicide is philosophical suicide. Every single time they're going, oh no, there's a chemical imbalance. Well, doctors tell us that isn't true now, right? All those studies that have come out. So stop telling your brain that you need drugs to be better, because you don't, right? Just talk to your doctor and go, I heard this nut say, blah, blah, blah. Philosophical suicide is the precursor. And when I say amnesia, I don't mean like, where'd I put my car keys? I think we suffer from amnesia because we forget that we're a badass. We forget that we were put here to be better, right? We have this amnesia where it's like, I don't know. Let me just round my shoulders. Baloney. Welcome to the jungle. You're in the labyrinth of life, and you didn't need to win this lottery, but you did. So what are you going to do right now for the next 20 minutes to run the table? Because it's your table. You run it. Just like Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. People playing a pool with you? Yeah, you should tell them, don't even bother chalking, right? You're cute. Just leave it in the bag. Try the chicken wings. I hear great things about them. Because you've already, from break to sinking that last ball in the pocket, you've already won. So why turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to your rock star status? To your I don't know if I can say badass, but I'm sorry if you can cut that out.
Already said it.
Sorry, brother. Right? Why turn your back on yourself?
Yeah.
Well, I got this and that. No. I asked you a question. Why turn your back on yourself? You were put here to be special. You were put here to be the alpha in whatever situation you're confronted by. What happened to you?
Yeah.
What? And then you sit back. As you know, brother, you sit back and wait for them to answer. Well, somebody did. No. I don't want to hear about somebody. Why are you stifling your own superhuman status? Well, I had some tough breaks in life. Yeah, so did I. Don't care. Don't care about your tough breaks. Don't care. Couldn't care less. Why? And if you do it long enough, they'll go, wow, you know what? I do know why. But you always have to lead with question marks, not exclamation points. And I think, to be honest, all of the, the Rocky and Bullwinkles jumping around on stage, motivational seminars, this and that and everything else. Look, if your motivational expert has to scream at you, right? You get in the gym, you get that weight up. What an idiot. Look, it's not about motivation. It's about maintenance. Can I put it that way? If you need to be motivated, you're not on the right path, brother.
Yeah.
You need maintenance. You need to maintain that spark, right? Michelangelo carving the statue of David. What did you do? Oh, well, the statue was placed in the rock by God, and I just carved, right? He says in his poetry, with chisel in hand, all is well. What he means is, I carve until the statue comes to life. Well, God did the same thing to you. You are the great, 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 great grandchild of the divine, however you define it, right? Gravity or God, however you define it. You are that offspring. That's your ancestry. So what are you going to do with that right now to be better? Not tomorrow, next week, next month, right now, this instant and all the time, where your 2 feet are planted on the ground right now. What are you going to do? Because I didn't have the opportunity to go, well, and 2.5 years later, when they're done with all the brain surgeries, right? I had no clue that I would end up with more head scars than Frankenstein. So I couldn't have imagined, but I'll tell you what I can do right now in this instant, in this breath, the best acronym, breathe in, exhale your name. Now we know from the neuroscience of it, when you breathe in through your nostrils, fight or flight doesn't kick in because those chemicals go, wait a minute, Brandon's breathing in through his nose. How much of a challenge can this really be? Then you exhale your name, because when we say our own name, right, the chemicals all go, well, it can't be that bad. I think you're right, because he can remember his own name. Then you scan the horizon. And the reason I always say scan the horizon, B, is that scientists tell us now that tunnel vision, petrified, right? You've heard that term. Oh, I was petrified. I couldn't move. I had tunnel vision. When you move your eyes back and forth, up and down, when you scan your horizon, body goes, how much of a threat can this really be if he's looking around? Yeah. It doesn't seem to be trouble in this boy at all. He's breathing through his nose. He's exhaling his name. He's scanning. Oh, now he's taking action. Now he has the goal of being better in this particular instant and all the time. And I hate to keep saying the same thing, but I think people want more glitz. They want more grammar. But it is that simple. Your spine was built of metal. And if you're not exercising that now, it's on you. Whoever you are listening, it's on you. It's not on any of the rest of us. Because when you get called upon to square your shoulders, lead with your chin, and you say to the universe or to God, fate, whatever, that's all you go Burt Reynolds. You guys better go home and get some more guys. That's all you brought? What was it? Shackleton, when Murray, he did the poem. When the moment one definitely commits, all providence moves too. Ever wonder why that is, brother? Because providence goes, holy crap, he gets it. All right, she's on fire. She knows that we're pulling for her. So she's throwing into the flow. Now that's somebody I want to hang out with. That's why providence moves too. And then he goes on to say all types of events seen and unforeseen that would never have been imagined start to come to fruition, because now the universe is backing you.
Guys, you can tell that Brian's a captivating dude. Your energy is incredible. Your message is fantastic. And guys, you can expect more of this when you go to his LinkedIn page. Like LinkedIn, I'm sure there's other places, but I'm following him on LinkedIn as well as his website. And you're constantly posting, you're constantly uplifting, even when you're up all night and, not to get graphic, but throwing up, and you still make it here and you still perform at this level. Like,
got immortal up, brother, right?
Yeah.
What it would have been like if I called you and go, oh, I've been vomiting all night.
I would have understood. I
wouldn't have understood. Right? I'd go, remember Kevin Bacon in Animal House? I just did it again. Kevin Bacon in Animal House getting paddled. Thank you, sir. May I have another? That's how I look at the universe. That's how I look at fate. I have a destiny.
So let me ask you
to derail it.
I want to ask you, because I want to respect your time. Tell me about the Mortal Up Minute and where people can find it.
Well, now see, here's the thing. You can go to mortalup.com. We're going to start it pretty soon, B, but this gets me in trouble again, which, right, as you've figured out by now, I couldn't care less, right? I couldn't. The tagline is, if it can't be said in 60 seconds or less, you don't need to hear it. So the Mortal Up Minute is designed to, if you only have 60 seconds in the morning, this is what you should think about yourself. You got 60 seconds to be better. Here's how we do it right now. Here's what we do today. So the Mortal Up Minute is just my answer to, not that, because these are more video interviews like TV, right? But podcasts where people go on and on and on and on, 3-hour podcasts. I don't got time to listen to 3-hour podcasts. Cut it down. Like I think all the time about another motivational, somebody in the higher consciousness, Cartel. He's written 17 books. If you can't figure out how to tell someone to be happy with their look in the mirror in one, do you really need 17 books to blather on about it? Well, my bank account needs the sales of 17. Well, great. Then if we're doing it for the bank account, great. But so the Mortal Up Minute was like, look, you're a tough guy and girl, right? You're a superstar. You're a superhuman already. Oh, well, don't you want to get into the flow? You're into the flow. You keep yourself out of it. You are the flow. Everybody knows this, the spot in the universe, Lana Ikea. Everything, dark energy, dark matter, everything's being pulled towards Lana Ikea. So the people go, well, Brian, we're not really in the flow. That shows me you know nothing about science, astronomy, maybe you don't know anything about math, but you're built to throw yourself into the flow. And the universe, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, right? I keep going back to that. It was a great, the 23rd, right? Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil. Why was it that Hercules' mom dipped him in the river Styx, right? Make him bulletproof from arrows. And Styx was the river, as you know, that's in Hades. So when he says, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, Hades is like the shadow of death. But both of those metaphors go when you're going through the absolute worst time. What if God dipped you in the river Styx just like he did Hercules? What if you're bulletproof? So that's, oh, I'm insane, brother. I don't know. I said in the beginning, if you don't want to use this, you don't have to. So I'm nuts.
I love it. I think it's true. You're telling in 1 minute. If it can't be told in 1 minute, then you're probably, again, using more exclamation points than question marks, right? And you explain that beautifully in your communication, but also in the way that you deliver what you have to help other people. So guys, go to the links in the description to mortalup.com. Sign up for the Mortal Up Minute. It's not going to cost you anything to do so. And go follow Brian so you can catch up with everything else he's doing. But Brian, I'm grateful that we had you. And I'm just glad that I can take what you've got and share it with our audience, because I know they're going to love what you've got. And again, you're not looking for everyone to love you, but I think even the people who were saying, I don't know if I 100% agree with this, I think that they're going to respect the hell out of you and the journey that you've been through, as well as the way that you share these principles. I think everyone needs to hear it, man. So I thank you very much.
You're welcome, brother. And I would say before we go that they don't have to believe in me, but I absolutely believe in them. If you're here, you still have the shot to be a superhuman. And there's not a master class. There's not any of these things. Unless your master class is in front of your own mirror. And when you go, I promised myself as a little kid, this is what I was going to do. Am I really going to go back to the universe having broken my word to myself? That's the masterclass. And keep your money. That. There's no reason to sign up before midnight tonight, right? Bonuses, this and that, everything else. Ask your mirror. Am I living the life that I promised you I would? Is the man or the woman you've become, is that little boy or little girl proud of that person?
Yeah. Thank you.
Easy stuff. I think.
I love the great questions, and I appreciate that ending piece. And guys, go follow Brian. Go check out what he's got. Brian, thank you for being on the show, brother. Thank you. Not at all.
Back to the green room, right?
Back to the green room.
Jennifer's here somewhere, I was told. Okay, great. Sounds good.
Guys, links are in the description. Go follow Brian. Before the conversation, he said, hey, man, if there's any point of this conversation that you don't want, you can scrap it. Don't even worry about telling me. But we're not scrapping anything. We're keeping all of it, because this was actionable. It was practical. It was inspiring. You heard a bit of Brian's story, heard a bit of what he's about, what he wants to accomplish. But he's living in those 20-minute segments. He's following his gut. He's doing what feels right. And I hope that a piece of this was inspiring to you. And if it was, all that I ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use Brian's principles in their life as well. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I hope you found value from this conversation. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.